There's nothing really out there. I mean, Zed Racing seems to be one of the main games, and of course, Axie Infinity.
Yo, welcome back, Zed Run community. Thank you all for your continued support and feedback. And I tell you what, this episode is going to be more critical than others. This episode is all about the reasons that we have to look forward and the reasons that your voice is critical right now. Throughout the episode, I'm going to pose a few questions, some food for thought, and I think that everybody will have their own opinion on it. And it depends on how you fundamentally view Zed Run. I'm going to do a quick recap of some of the issues that the community has justifiably been complaining about. I'm then going to go over some of the reasons to be optimistic and to be happy about what we've seen. There is a lot of good things happening right now that are being glazed over because of the obvious issues. So I'm going to recap that and give some reason to look forward. So to get started, I want to give you some food for thought, some questions to think about as you listen to what I have to say and as you take in all the other content creators and sources of information about Zed Run that you consume. So the question is, what do you think the game should be comprised of? The description for the game says a skill-based horse racing game. What skill needs to be demonstrated to be good at this game? Another question, how do you view the game? Is it an investment? Is it a game? How much do you want to put in it from a monetary standpoint, from a time standpoint, and where is your break-even point? If you're just in it to have fun, perfect. If you're just in it for financial gain, perfect. There is no right and wrong answer to this question because everybody's going to come at it from their own perspective based on their own standing in the world. Rather than dwell on a bunch of negative things, I'll give you a real quick wrap up. There has been severe issues with the website. There are issues with manipulating races for downclassing purposes. Floor prices have been very low and right next to breeding cost, and worse, the value of the product being bred has nowhere to be run to return value on the investment. There are issues scheduling races, and generally speaking, the time required to enjoy the game is insane. Clearly, there's issues, and as the development team has communicated, there's a lot of change in the process and the works. We understand that. We understand what it means to play a game in the beta phase, but everybody also needs to understand the amount of Ethereum invested into this game. If you have looked at this game from an investment standpoint, no doubt you've looked at the fact that you have converted your Ethereum into an NFT. The value of that NFT has to match or kind of come close with the value you invested into it. In the very least, if it doesn't, you have to enjoy your time while you own the NFT. Strictly owning it for investment purposes, watching it going up and down is a completely different thing, and I don't think is applicable to this discussion because those folks are not participating in the racing, participating in the breeding. Those folks are just simply sitting on horse NFTs in hopes that the 5-year plan, the game is huge, and those are old and valuable. Just fine. And there's nothing wrong with that. To each their own. Approach this as you wish. Now let's get into some of the reasons that we should be optimistic. For one, the pains that we feel are the result of effort. Let's keep that in mind. And when everything is running smooth and nothing's changing, we're not getting the changes that we are requesting. People complained hard. Many people left the game because of the stamina change. Now, why it took however long it took to implement the change, I don't know. But I'm not in the development team. I can only theorize, and all of it would be ignorant. The fact of the matter is, they did come with a change eventually. The pain that we felt on the site is a result of that, perhaps for lack of QA and other reasons. But again, at least they're trying. They're moving forward. There is a development on a video game. And probably the where I should have started all to begin with. The only reason I'm sitting here talking to this microphone and this camera and to you, and I hope, possibly, maybe, in the most humble of worlds, the dev community themselves, listen to this feedback directly. And I think they will. And I'll tell you why. Because they seem to. The fact that they made the changes with the stamina, because they listen, because when I made my new player experience video, one of the things that I had pointed out was the lack of $2.50 races. There, at the time, there simply weren't there. I had invested a lot of Ethereum into the game and then come in and have to invest more just to find out what's going on and enjoy it. The very same day my video came out, according to the XYZ guys, the number of $2.50 races exploded. I'm biased. It's my own big ego here saying, oh, I had some impact on that. Okay. I probably didn't. It was probably in the cards all along. Okay. But the fact that it happened gave me a twinge of hope that these videos are worthwhile. Okay. And that's why your likes or dislikes or support and feedback is just as important. Okay. If this rings true to you, please do that so that it gets the voice and so that it gets seen. Another thing this game has going for it is the fact that you're here watching this video. There's a lot of people that have invested their time and money into the game and into the community, into their putting their feedback in Reddit, reading posts and making movies and running the game and going on Twitter and Discord and all these places. There is a whole community putting their resources into this game, and that should give us hope in and of itself. In fact, even though the floor price has gotten to where it is, there are still horses being bought and sold for large values. That still shows a huge faith in the long-term success of this game. And here's something that cannot be undervalued. What is a make or break part of most businesses, customer support. Personally, I had the opportunity to reach out to them. I had an issue with my email addresses and I needed to be clarified. I reached out to them. They got back to me in a reasonable time frame. We had a back and forth. Everything was taken care of, polite, quick. That is huge. How many NFT projects do you have a hit support button for that you actually get communications from a human in a reasonable time frame? Okay, these are really good things, folks. They are hiring people. They are trying. They're going to start an AMA. Okay, fine. 15-minute AMA. In a few months, that may be enough, but I hope the first one is at least an hour to 2 hours because there is a lot of questions, a lot of discussion that happens. And I tell you what, I think they just might do it. I know they understand the need to be communicating and involved in the community directly. And you know what? That's going to happen. I have faith in it. Everything that we see moves the ball in the right direction. Sure, we're stumbling on some of the hurdles that a new IT department deal with. Anybody who's been in IT for a long time, I personally have over 20 years in IT, I understand how change management goes. I understand how things can go awry during it. These are learning curves and things will happen. Hopefully they're taking lessons, making notes, and making changes. When we have a big release, take a maintenance period, folks. The site's going to be down for 6 hours. Go for a walk, have a pretzel, and do something else for a little while. Come back. If the change doesn't work, roll it back. Sorry, folks. We'll come back and try it again next week. This is a maturing process for an IT department, and we're going to get there. Okay, the fact that we have all this investment, the backers, and all these things moving the ball forward is a good thing. According to Zed.Art, the user population on the game continues to go down. The number of people who voice their opinion is critical. And the fact that we don't have all that many people in the community as a whole means that your voice will probably be heard. How do you want this game to be played? Do you want a coin flip? Do you want an ELO system that pairs all of the horses together so that everybody should be about the same? Or do you want a system that requires in-depth research and planning and picking out just the right race so that your horse has the best advantage. Do you want something that's loose? Do you want something that's do you want to be able to increase the abilities of your horses? Is that a thing, right? Feeding them and actually doing training. Do you want horses to age and pass away? Do you want them to retire or move in or lose their ability over time as they age? So now, for me to do exactly what I just requested everybody else to do, let me talk about some of the changes that are upcoming and give my opinion about them and what I would like to see. According to what I understand, there is going to be a reduction in free races or the prize pool for free races and put the focus into tournaments. Clearly, if that is the case, then the focus of tournaments has to address the fact that people use free races to better their playing experience after they've already made a large monetary investment into the game and they don't wish to or they're unable to continue to throw money at the game. Now, if the return on investment for their time doesn't work, they're going to give up on that as well. But if they don't have a place for somewhere to go, that they do not need to put money, more continued money into the game, they're not going to be there. We need players on this site. Crowds gather crowds. We have a small group right now. If we want the game to grow, we need as most players as possible. You need a place for all the horses to run, at least right now. In 5 years, there's a glue factory. Fine. That's fine. We have 10,000 people and 20,000 horses being bred a day. Yes, let's make a glue factory. But everybody right now, everybody who made a decision to go on OpenSea or talk to a friend and get a horse and invest their Ethereum into the game needs to be catered to. And that is nearly impossible. And that is your job, devs. You built this. You have a wonderful opportunity. You have a functioning game. You have so much going for you. Please don't blow it. We love you. And we have a lot invested into you. Please don't blow this, okay? Secondly, there are some quick stopgap changes that can be made, even if you have to hold on with tournaments, okay? Free races is not that difficult. If you say, just very easily say a horse can't be entered if they have 5% win rate in that class, boom, there goes a lot of the free race entries and opens it up for horses in those classes that don't want to be spending more money on paid races. With regards to the ELO system, okay, everybody has been complaining about class and the way the class system is put down, and the best you could say is 3 letters, ELO, as if that means anything. There is a lot of ways to make an ELO system. If anybody has been playing games for the last 40 years, you know how this works. There is a boat ways for it to go right, wrong, and every single one of them can be manipulated. The question that I asked, that I posed at the beginning, that I posed on Reddit this morning, and that I'm going to pose on Twitter this afternoon, is what skill is this game? What skill do you want to see? In most cases, wagering is only allowed in skill-based games. So what skill is actually being displayed in Zed Run right now? And which skill is going to need to be displayed when we're not in beta? That has to be developed right now. Because as it is right now, there isn't very much, okay? If you are trying to run $2.50 classes, there is no skill. It is a time investment and who can click quickest. As of right now, there is very little skill to be had in this game. If you have, depending on your horse, you may not even have the option to play a version of the game that is very dissatisfying. In my last video, I went through downclassing. To be clear, I did not like that experience. Yes, I enjoy getting wins and stuff, but I hate losing, okay? And I don't like that back and forth. But honestly, I don't have a good way around it either. For everybody who has complained about the system as it is, there's been very few systems that put up a good answer to it. And if we say, well, we want an ELO system that just ranks the horses so that all the horses are the same and they are all going to run the same, that's just a coin flip. Okay. Yes, I hope there is, and I'm sorry if I'm ignoring a lot of really good suggestions. There are really cool ones out there, all different types of places you go to take. Once you reach certain levels, you move into different brackets, and in them you can't move backwards and so forth. Modeling real world race structure seems reasonable. Okay, but it also has to take into the fact that as of right now, the horses don't age. They don't slow down after 3 years. Where are we? How is Vanilla Bean doing 5 years from now? Right? Because if Vanilla Bean's still the top horse from 5 years from now, we don't have a game 5 years from now. Okay? There has to be progression and there has to be hope for people to come up and throw it. Between whether there should be scheduled races or not, to my understanding, one side of the camp says no, because a lot of the skill as it is right now is scouting who is in a race and not jumping into races that you're clearly outclassed in. That said, I don't believe lower class racers can do that skill as it is right now. If that is the skill, it's not demonstratable right now due to the nature of the fact that there are. I wish I knew the actual XYZ. You guys may know, but I would be curious. What percent are in class 5 as a whole? If I remember correctly, it's huge, 80 plus run in that. So why do we have competitive clicking going on here? Honestly, I don't think you'll ever get a perfect single way solution. There'll have to be a live race and a scheduled race, and it seems weird to split the environment like that, but it would make both sides better. The scheduled racers will be able to come in for work, after work, take care of their schedules, go take care of their family, done, put everybody to bed, come back, watch their races, and enjoy the results. The people who have the time to sit there would be able to go into the live races and scout their opponents. Sure, each split the environment and we have a small user base, but with this allows more people the opportunity to play with the style that they need to play in to meet their daily demands. As well as, if you cannot play the game right now, you have no chance of returning value on your investment, with the exception of the game becoming much larger and successful. That the only way that the game will become larger and successful is if people are playing the game. We need to push the flywheel, folks. We need to get it started. We need to be in there running races. And devs, that means you need to give us a way to do it. If we have a half hour to invest in the game and we have 10 horses, there is quite literally no way to get value out of those horses right now. Even a half hour in that scenario would be tough to go through and manage properly, but it can be done. And let's talk about the gorilla in the room. This is very early in the stage of NFT gaming as a whole. Zed Run has a huge advantage in being the first ones with a functional game, investors, players in a very specific genre and space. There is a very well-known competitor, because the very well-known competitor is a great marketing team. They do not have a functional game right now. I'm not saying to promote marketing right now. The game is close, it's not ready, and I understand Zed Run's approach to this, to build the chicken before we go and market it. The competitor right now has an egg. They are selling all this grandeur, but they don't have a functional game, and there's a very reasonable chance that they're going to go through all, if not worse, growing pains than Zed Run. What we don't know is the gorilla in the shadows. These things can be cloned. There could be big operations about to come out with the best of both worlds. I think we're on the clock here. A lot of people believe that NFT gaming is both going to explode as well as implode. Right now, there is a mass load of new projects coming out every single day, and popular opinion is that most of them will fail. The question is, where will Zed Run be? Obviously, we all want it to be at the forefront. How we get there is by continuing to get in the game and race. Zed developers, you have to give us a way to do that. When we log in, we can click on something to say, let's go racing, boys. Not let's stare at the screen until maybe it jumps up and then I can quick click. Our advantage is not the fact that we have great marketing. Our advantage is that we have a great game. Let us play the game. We have to play the game. It's the only shot we got. Let the tournaments run. Let everybody have fun. Please, folks, let us hear your opinions. Write on Discord, write on Reddit, write on Twitter, and give the feedback. Please be constructive, okay? We don't want to burn this thing down. And we certainly don't want the competitors to take our words and use them against us. We have a great opportunity to be the first and the best, the biggest badass on the block. So let's do it. I love you. You know the deal. You made it this far. That button. Cheers, guys.
Let's see, a couple questions for you. Are you currently playing any blockchain games? If so, which ones are you having the most fun with? I know you just mentioned Axie Infinity. Have you played that one at all?
No, I haven't played any Axie. I'm actually on the sideline. It looks like there's a couple games going to be releasing somewhat soon. I know Degen Gang NFTs has a fighting game that look fairly close. I know Crypto Demons is really close to finishing all their the sprite work and the animations for their game, so that looks pretty close. So there's nothing really out there. I mean, Zed Racing seems to be one of the main games, and of course Axie Infinity.